Thanks for being part of the show.
My pleasure.
When did your basketball career begin?
Well, approximately, I've been playing organized basketball ever since 7th grade of elementary school, and I entered the NBA in 1987.
Who were you like back in the 7th grade?
Well, I was a skinny kid. I was taller than a lot of my teammates and my classmates, and I was sort of a goofy kid walking around.
Weight training. Weight training, maybe back in the 7th grade, wasn't a part of your training regimen, but today it is. Tell us about weight training for Horace Grant and a professional basketball athlete.
Well, weight training for Horace Grant is something that I love to do. Since I've been into it, I got into it 4 years ago here with the Bulls, and they can't keep me out of the weight room. And as for an NBA basketball player, you need it because it's such a physical sport. A lot of people don't think so, but it's such a physical sport where you need the strength and endurance to excel.
Mm-hmm. When did you begin weight training?
I began weight training in the year of 1988, right after my rookie year, because I had a decent rookie year, but I felt that if I had a little more strength and a little more power and a little more speed, that I could excel.
How can you admit to weight training really enhancing your game? Because some individuals, they go into the weight room, they try to shoot some baskets, they're a little pumped up, a little awkward, but how do you tie the two in together to enhance your game?
Well, I go in and I train very hard, and after each session of weight training, I come out and I loosen up my shooting. I mean, that's all you need. I think a lot of people from the quote-unquote old school think if you lift weights, you're going to throw your basketball performance off, and that's just a myth.
Agility, coordination, that's obviously something you could enhance in the weight room?
Oh, definitely. Alvin Mill has done a great job of combining agility, speed, quickness with weights.
Yeah, the things that we do in the NBA that are probably different than most teams is use the Olympic lifts along with the plyometrics and the sprint training. And the reason we use the Olympic lifts is because it's a strong correlation to vertical jumping and speed development, because speed is an integral part of the success of the lift. Dr. John Garhammer has done a lot of biomechanical studies and showed that the Olympic lifts are identical to a vertical jump, so you're getting training specifics. And we know that if you improve a person's vertical jump, you also improve their speed over a short distance. So that's why we do them. I think a lot of teams don't do them because I don't think a lot of the strength coaches have been exposed to it, and it's much easier to go in to get in the machine and do 1 set of 10 to failure and say that's training. And that's all right for fitness, but that doesn't have anything to do with athletics. Specifically in the case of Horace Grant, we spent a lot of time teaching, because you have to teach a lot in the Olympic lifts. When we first got him, I can remember one time that, trying to squat and trying to clean, he didn't have the strength, so we had to build the strength up along with the technical proficiencies. I think the first summer we had him, he could only clean about 220 pounds. He now cleans over 300. So you can see a big difference. And when I say that clean from the floor at 6'10" is executed in probably a little bit over a second. So you're moving 300 pounds up to a position of your shoulders catching in a quarter squat position in a little over a second. Has a tremendous amount of power, because power is related to how fast you do the work. So we do cleans, power snatches, jerks, push presses, and squats. And if you were to watch Horace squat, and we talked about this last year, he is one of those rare athletes that has the flexibility to get down into a good solid bottom position, keep a good back, and come up out of that position. And one of the reasons we do cleans and snatches off the floor or below the knee is because that position really relates to the post position when they're catching the ball on an offensive post or defense, and your back has to be in that isometric held position. And Dave Corzine was the one that put me clue to that. He said that's the position when they're hammering on your back. Cole always talked about I got tired, not from the running, it was from the pushing and shoving. And in Horace's case, he's 235 pounds, but he's playing against guys up to 260, 270. So it's remarkable what he can accomplish and still keep the athleticism. And he's a great athlete. Horace Grant's one of the greatest athletes I've ever worked with. Now, I've had the privilege of being around Ronnie Lott, Joe Montana, Fred Dean. I've watched Carlton Fisk. I didn't train Carlton, but I watched him. And then the athletes here. And so I think I'm a pretty good guy who was a good athlete. Horace Grant is a great athlete to do the things he can do. And so by getting down in those positions and lifting the weight that way, he enables him to keep the speed and agility that you need, because speed and agility is part of Olympic weightlifting, part of his athletic performance on the court. So those are what things we do with him specifically, and he's done an unbelievable job of it.
Increased performance on the court. To accomplish this, we look at what the players need to do on the court. In other words, they run and they jump. So we take a great deal of our methodologies from Olympic weightlifting. We get quite a bit from track and field. We take a lot from sprint coaches, jump coaches, the throw coaches, that type of thing. So we incorporate a great deal of Olympic weightlifting. We do a great deal of jump training. We do all kinds of running drills and sprint training in order to increase all those qualities. Horace Grant's one of the hardest working athletes I've ever had the privilege to work with. He's also one of the most exceptional athletes I've ever had the privilege to work with. And when you put those two elements together, what you have is really truly something special. Horace obviously is not one of the largest power forwards in the league, but he compensates for that by training consistently and training out all year round. He possesses great levels of explosive strength as well as strength. And what we try to do with Horace is to increase his strength levels, but also keep those abilities that he already had before he came in here. In other words, he had great speed and he was very explosive. Horace's strength levels are always the primary concern with us. So what we try to do in season as well as off season is enhance his strength levels. So we do quite a bit of squatting and that type of thing. We maintain the Olympic lifts throughout the season so that when he begins the off season, he's not starting over from a technical standpoint.
Tell us about the special preparation you have to make for certain players in the league that are a real tough match for Horace Grant, or certain teams in the league that are a real tough match for Chicago Bulls.
Well, me personally, for an example, if I'm going to play a guy like Charles Barkley tomorrow, I would probably be at home resting right now and having nightmares about it. But I just think about what my opponent can do and his limitations. And as a team, the coaching staff take us through the do's and don'ts that the team can do.
Mm-hmm. Being one of the smaller power forwards in the league, does that make you work harder in the weight room?
Oh, by far. Well, I love to work out in the first place, but just by being one of the smallest power forward in the league, and it gives me the determination to go out and get a lot stronger and a lot quicker.
Olympic weightlifting is an instrumental method of increasing muscle explosion and quickness. Tell us about how you began the Olympic lifts and how they're helping you today.
Well, Al Vermeer introduced me to Olympic lifts, like I said, in the year of 1988. And when I first started, I was like a kid just starting to walk again. I felt awkward, and I didn't think it would help me, and I was kind of reluctant to go through it, but I stuck with it, and he stuck with me, and it's definitely helped me in the fourth quarter of a lot of ball games, and when my opponent is tired, the Olympic lift gives me that the extra strength, if you will.
You mentioned before Charles Barkley, a confrontation, you need to relax. How do you relax? I mean, with all this stuff going through your mind, what are some of the techniques that you use to relax yourself after a workout, before a game, and after a game?
Well, after a workout, I'll go home and get a rub down for my masseuse and just eat right and just watch TV, watch a comedy show or something on television. But after a game, you sit there in the locker room for a while and wait till the crowd leaves, and you go up and get a bite to eat and go home and rest.
Is Horace Grant everything Horace Grant wants to be, or is there still more that you can pull out of yourself?
Oh, it's a lot more. I'm very hard on myself because I know I could be so much better, and I feel that with this weightlifting and the endurance that I give out there on the floor and the running that I do, that I can bring a lot more out of Horace Grant.
Horace, speaking for my staff and viewers and myself, it's been a true pleasure watching you play. Great success to Horace Grant in the future, and thanks for taking the time out to become part of the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.